why would I want to use an app versus just going to the website for something from Google? Okay, so I'm going to try and explain that. Then I'll explain that you can use Apple apps with some services from Google and what that means, and that there are Google apps that are designed to work with Google services, obviously, and what's available in the App Store. We're going to cover a lot of material. Okay, so how do we do things? Okay, we do things with our devices where we use software in the form of applications or apps for short. We use devices like our phones, our tablets, our computers, our smart devices, anything. We use the hardware, and we use something called a service, which is something that takes place out of our immediate vicinity. Okay, so we're using software apps, devices, and services. And that's how we really get things done, by combining the three of these things together. We are actually able to use technology to get work done, accomplish things, live a better life, etc. So Google runs a lot of online services, okay? And so we need to connect our devices, like our smartphone and our app here, to that service. But we can use that, our desktop, in addition to our smartphone, we could use our desktop to connect to a Google service using a browser. Some of you might use Gmail, for example, and use Gmail through a browser. And some of you might use Gmail on your phone, or you might use it on your tablet, but you can usually connect to an online service either through a smartphone app or through a browser window on your device. And that gives you the ability to do a lot of really nice things. You can connect, but you need an internet connection to do this. Most of the things we use from Google work over the internet, but as long as you've got an internet connection, you can connect your smartphone or your desktop or your iPad to Google. Now, in a smartphone app is going to connect to Google by itself, and that's something that you can utilize with your internet connection. But if you use an Apple app like Apple Mail, you can connect to Google, to your Gmail account, using the internet. And so an example of using an Apple Mail app, which is an app from Apple, allows you to connect to a service from Google called Gmail. So it's possible sometimes you can connect, but not all the time. Okay, so there are some situations where you can use either an Apple app or a Google app. Google makes a Google Mail, Gmail app that you can download and install on your iPhone and iPad, and you can use that instead of using Apple's Mail app. They both connect to the same service, Gmail, in order for you to use it. So you're just using what is on your device in order to connect to the service at that point. There are some situations, however, where you can only use a Google app to connect to a Google service. And a really common everyday example that many people use is Google Maps. There is no Apple app made by Apple that connects to Google Maps. Part of the reason is that Apple makes their own Maps application service, and they only want you to use Apple Maps app with the Apple Maps service. But Mail is something that Apple considers fairly generic, and so they allow you to connect the Apple Mail app to your Gmail account. But a lot of the apps that you use with Google services may only work with the Google app that you download and install on your device through your App Store. Now, most of the apps from Google are free from the App Store. Okay, so that's one of the good things about that. So there's a lot of Google apps in the Apple App Store. I'm going to go through this list, and what I'd like you to do is if you see an app that you'd say, I'd like to see what in the world that does, make a note of it, put it in chat, and we will go look through them. And I'll stop it through each slide so we can go through and take a look. So at the end of each slide, because I've got I think I found over 40 apps. I haven't counted them, but I think I found a lot of Google apps in the Apple App Store. And some of them I use, some of them I've never touched, and some of them I downloaded because I said, what in the world does this do? And I was curious about it, right? So there's some pretty common ones. Okay, Google Maps. I think a lot of us are familiar with that. Gmail, which is Google's mail app. The Chrome browser. We can download the Chrome browser for our iPhone and iPad. YouTube is a separate app. Google Drive is a separate app. Google Photos is an app that will let you upload all your photos to your Google Drive from your iPhone. Google Calendar is a separate app, and Google Earth, which creates really nice perspective views and three-dimensional views of things on that. So these are all, I use most of these on a regular basis. I don't use Google Calendar that much because I use the Apple Calendar app, and I don't use Google Photos because I use Apple Photos and iCloud. I take most of my pictures with my phone. But these make it easy. The reason for an app is that an app makes navigating things on your phone a little bit easier than if you were just trying to use a website. If you have an iPad, you've got a full screen web browser that you can use on your iPad. But on an iPhone, full screen web browsers, our navigation links are very small and very difficult to tap with your finger. So they make apps that work for these devices. Some more apps for your iPhone and iPad. Google has some popular productivity apps called Google Sheets. There's an app for that. Google Docs, Google Slides, Google Keep, which is their note-taking app, Google Meet, which is their conferencing app, YouTube Music, which is separate from YouTube. YouTube has a huge music library, and Google One, which is a upgraded service that gives you access to more Google capabilities and storage with using Google. Just a few, and we're not done. Okay, Google Tasks, which is like reminders. Google Analytics, which you typically may not use unless you are a user of an owner of a website, but Google has a lot of website analytic tools that are available that give you the ability to analyze a website. Google Fit. Google, in case you didn't know it, they bought Fitbit several years ago, and they've been incorporating Google Fit into into Fitbit and kind of slowly integrating them together. Google has a podcast app of their own. They have Waze, which some people love and some people hate. I haven't found too many people neutral on Waze, but Waze will often tell me to make a left turn onto a really busy street in Los Angeles, so I tend not to use it, but I know other people that love to use it. Google Assistant, which is their voice activated service. Google Pay, which allows you to make payments through your phone or Google smartwatch device. And they have something called Google Opinion Rewards, where they give you some kind of reward system for filling out surveys. I hadn't tried that one yet. Okay, I keep a list because we've got more. Google Voice, which I use. I have a Google Voice phone number, and it's a free service. You have to use it periodically, but Google Voice gives you the ability to accept calls. It's a great way to add a second phone number to your phone if you want to. Gboard, which is their keyboard layout that they have. Google has something called Google Fi Wireless. They actually run a cellular service. You can subscribe to Google Fi and buy as a cellular provider for your cell phone service and get a subscription directly from Google Fi and switch from Verizon or AT&T or T-Mobile or wherever. I don't know if it's available in Canada, but I know it's available in the US and a lot of countries. Something called Google Family Link, which I didn't take too close a look at, but knowing how Microsoft and Apple run family, I think it's a way to help you link your family members together and set up parental permissions and other things. PhotoScan, which I've used, sometimes you have a photo that you have from a old physical archive that you've been collecting and you want to get it into your electronic format. Well, PhotoScan gives you the ability to use your camera on your iPhone and scan a photo and get it into your photo album. Google Chrome Remote Desktop gives you the ability to access your Chrome computer or another computer through using Chrome Desktop. YouTube TV, which is the paid subscription to YouTube. YouTube is a free app and they have a free service, but YouTube TV gives you access to channels and you can add on streaming and you can also download videos to watch later. YouTube Kids, which is strictly for kids, and you can set up age levels and you have to have parental controls in order to use YouTube Kids. Kids can't subscribe to YouTube Kids directly. Switch to Android, which helps migrate your iPhone to an Android phone for you. Google Classroom, which is used a lot. Google is used in a lot of K through 12 education environments where people put up assignments, they have information, they have events and other things like that. And it's really used very commonly in K through 12 all over the world. And so it's very commonly used. Socratic by Google, which is a learning app. And when I tried to download and tried it out, I'll show you that. And then Google Arts and Culture, which is another app that has collections from museums and cultural institutions all over the world, which is kind of interesting to explore. We'll take a look at that. What I've done is I put most of my Google apps in a folder called Google Apps. Not all of them. Like I have Translate in travel, and some are scattered around in different places, but I have most of them in Google Apps here. So Gmail is just my Gmail account. Okay. So if you only use Gmail, I mean, using the Gmail app really is sometimes pretty convenient to do because one of the things you get is you can start a Google Meet session by hitting the video button and start a new Google Meet meeting right from the Gmail app right away. So you can get live video. It'll show, your existing mail. You can search your Google Mail. You can click on the hamburger icon and get access to all of your labels and folders and other information. And you can even modify a lot of your settings on your device as well. And it integrates with Siri as well. You also have access to chat, right here as well. So if you're using Gmail, you can see I've got promotions, AMC theaters. Now, Google labels certain types of emails a promotion or something else. And then but I have a couple of other emails here. If I go to my Apple Mail app and I look at my Gmail inbox, the same things are there. I actually can have them both connected at the same time on my phone because the service is in the cloud. So if I swipe and delete, or what's called archive typically, when I archive an email in Gmail, it goes into my all mail label. And now I just have two mails here. If I go back to the Gmail app, um, that one has been archived. So it's synchronizing right away. So it's very easy to use and on your phone. If you're only using Gmail, you can use it with an Apple app or you could use it with a Google app. You can do that with calendars and you can do that with contacts and you can do it with tasks and reminders. If you want to, you can synchronize and set up reminders that will synchronize to Google. You can even use it with notes. You can use notes with a Google Keep service if you want to. So Apple does make the productivity apps available for you to use from Apple's apps, and they will connect to Google as well. But I've got Calendar, I have Google Ads because I run ads on my Bobology website. So I see them there and I can get an idea of what my ad revenue is from there. So they have a lot of apps like that that most consumers will never come across. They have a YouTube app that's really great. I mean, if you subscribe to a YouTube channel on your Google app on your phone or your iPad, it will also subscribe you to the channel when you go to YouTube on the web. Okay. And so I watched an Apple Vision Pro video, and so they kind of keep track of that and show me that I've got, they're feeding me an Apple Vision Pro video. But I've got my subscriptions. I can search for, videos. I have some other topics that I have here. So it's really a convenient way to use YouTube on your phone. And it synchronizes with your Google account. As long as you're logged in to your Google account, it will synchronize your information. You can see your little icon here for your Google account. Okay, so what did we had? Google Voice. Okay, Google Voice is a free app. And what it does is it lets you make an outbound call, or you can receive calls by giving people your Google Voice phone number. So if you look here, you signed in with your account, with your Google account, and you have the ability to get credit. You can buy credit because you can make international calls with it. You can turn on Do Not Disturb. It'll highlight spam calls as well. And you can see settings, so you can get a Google Voice number if you don't. You can forward calls, do call screenings. You can get email alerts for calls. You can show your Google Voice number as caller ID if you want to, and you can remove your call history. So it's a built-in phone app to help you manage things. So you've got people you can manage, you can search, you've got voicemail, and you have the ability to go out and dial numbers if you want to on your Google Voice pad here. So it's a great way to get another second phone number if you want a second phone number for your device. Okay, let's take a look at a few others here. Google Assistant, Slides, Docs. It will integrate with all of your Google, items in your workspace. So it shows you different things that you've worked with, different aspects of it. You can create new documents, create it from your phone and it'll automatically save it in your cloud account for you. Okay, let me show you the Google Ads. I have Google Ads connected to Google Analytics, and so's my I've got notifications here. So let's see, campaigns. It'll show me. So it shows me what ads are running and how other things that might be available for me to look at, recommendations for ads, campaigns, and keywords, ad groups, other types of information I might be looking at. So it gives me the ability to see certain types of information on Google Ads. I've got another place I've got Google Ads here on my marketing. Google AdSense is what I was looking for first. This tells me what I've gotten paid for running Google Ads, but it also gives me the ability to see more information, what sites, how many pages are working, what ad units are running, and then it will give me access to other analytic information as well on here if I choose to look at it in different ways. So it's one of these things that are made up for marketing services primarily, but it's a great tool to use it. There's also something called YouTube Studio, which is for YouTube creators. Anybody that sets up a YouTube account gets a creator account. And so it's YouTube Studio. So YouTube Studio gives you the ability to manage, create, even record videos on your phone and upload them to YouTube. So let's go back to here and let's take a look at Socratic, which was kind of an interesting little app. Now, this is a simulated example. You could point Socratic at something on a problem or other type of thing, and it is a question, how long will it take a 1,500-watt motor to lift a 300-kilogram piano to a 6-story window 20 meters above? Okay. Now, I don't know how ChatGPT or Gemini would give you an answer. Probably similar because they probably just use these things. But you can actually crop this question from your phone, look at it with with a Socratic app, tap go, and it'll analyze the problem and it'll explain the answer. Okay, so it explains the answer, it explains how it solved it, explains how to solve quadratic equations, and it tells you how from the web it would work and give you different answers from different websites, Course Hero, Barton, a few others. So it has others that are pulling in information from it. So it's there to help more explain how to do things as opposed to strictly giving you the answer. Okay, so it explains simplify any expression, solving for a variable, rearranging, isolating to solve it, and resources that you can learn more about it. So that's one thing that Socratic does. Another app, Arts and Culture. I found this one a little more interesting than Socratic for my own, because I think I'm tending to use ChatGPT and other things for asking questions and learning tools, but I'm not sure why Google created Socratic, but I really understand why they created Arts and Culture. And the reason for Arts and Culture is that it has collections of art of museums and cultural institutions. So they have things from different galleries all over the world. And so you can actually take a tour inside the gallery. So I was looking at the Uffizi Gallery in Florence, and you can follow them. You can see their collection. They have some stories here, or you can visit. They're closed right now, so you can learn information. And or Musée d'Orsay, and you can see the exhibits here. So if you swipe up, you'll see different things they have exhibiting, and the visuals are set up to help you go through in a more learning, entertaining, educational type of approach. I'm just swiping up with my finger to be able to view these. Some museums have three-dimensional views. So let's see if I can find this online exhibit that we did. This really was I wanted to find. Let's see if I can find the other one I wanted to use. Okay. So the art, there's stories here, collections they have, exhibits, museum views, the Explore. Sometimes they'll have an Explore. And Explore gives you a 3D virtual exploration here. So this is what's on my screen. You're seeing a mirror. And each of these arrows lets me change my orientation and move around in a different direction. But I can also just swipe and turn around in the room if I want to. And I can go to another room and I'll see an exhibit here. And this is like being in the museum itself. I actually can look at different images. I'll see the hallway to the next gallery, and I can actually explore if I want to. So it's an interesting way to go and visit museums and other collections around there. They do have things about our world. So they have different places you can go visit. And people have created cultural exhibits. They pulled together all these different things. They pulled together places. So if you were looking for a place like, say, the Taj Mahal, got to spell it right first. And I don't know what they have, but we're going to try and see if they can find, if we can see it. So it didn't find it for some reason. Let's try and go to a place. Or maybe I'm filtering it. So if I look for a particular type of collection, or search would probably be better. There we go. Okay, it's an artifact. Okay, so this is it's telling me I can pinch and spread. Okay, so I can pinch and spread out, and I can zoom in on it. It tells me different badges that I can utilize to explore it, and I can explore related content. So it'll pull up information about it. I can view an augmented reality. I think I have to be there, but okay, let's see. Let's arc projector and see what happens. So it's basically going to use, if I'm in a location, it'll help me view it in augmented reality. Kind of an interesting app to explore if you're interested in art, culture, other things that might be interesting to take a look at. So the ability to go and visit any places. I personally like Google Earth for doing flyover views and doing other things like that. But it'll let you discover places and it pulls things together. So instead of going to Google search or other places, you can pull things together. It pulls things together from certain types of cultural graphics, collections, themes, if you're interested in different types of things. Here's virtual museum day out. Okay, step inside of 3D immersive exhibits. Okay. 5 immersive galleries. Okay, so let's see what it does. We'll enter the gallery. And so we're in a 3D exhibit. So you don't need, Apple Vision Pro for this. You can do this right on your phone. So I'm actually just turning my finger and swiping around and using it to view things. And I can zoom in on something if I want to, go closer, move further away, change my orientation a little bit and I can go to another scene. So here's another scene that I can see and be able to explore and be in a museum as though I'm actually in the museum itself. The immersive exhibits are pretty impressive because they give you the ability to step inside. Don't have step inside. Let's go into a museum in Lithuania and enter the gallery here. Okay, so it gives it the ability to actually wander through and explore this exhibit area if you're interested in doing that. So it's another way to kind of visually take you to another place, but they have all kinds of things organized by different culture and art aspects that are interesting. The Translate app that I use for travel works really, really well. It has the ability to carry on a dialogue. So if you tap the microphone, you can carry on a conversation and use it in conversation mode. So you can say something and it'll try and translate it. And it's pretty fast to do it. But you do have to have an internet connection in order to use it effectively. So it's not, I'm curious how the new Android device works with the ability to do something in that from that perspective, where it has the immediate translation. And then Google One gives you access to all of your Google data and your Google account. Let's see what else is in Google One. Sync, setup, upgrade to premium Google One subscription. You can share. So Google One is your subscription service that gives you access to more storage. I set up Google One for one benefit primarily, and it was for their VPN service. Google One, I believe, is $1.99 a month. And most other virtual private network services I've checked want anywhere from $80 to $100 a year for services. So I subscribed to Google's VPN, Google One, in order to get VPN because I can use VPN on my iPhone, on my Mac, on my iPad. And so it gives me the ability to access a VPN on any of my devices for roughly for $24 a year, which is one of the best values out there. And I got the benefit of, additional storage space, and I get more benefits through Google Photos. The Google Photos app for Pixel gives you these features. So if you buy a Pixel phone, which is Google's branded phone, they give you the ability to use Magic Eraser, camouflage, HDR, and a few other features here. But if you get Google One, you unlock these additional camera features. Magic Eraser is great. It gives you the ability to just magically erase different things. I just realized all I need to do is instead I was here and I couldn't figure out where to find what I needed to find. So I just swiped up from in the app and there's the sections I was looking for where it says biology, chemistry, geometry, algebra, fiction, nonfiction, world history. So I can find different sections of information if I'm interested in trying them out. There's more. I can scroll sideways and find a few more if I'm interested. So if I look for, say, earth science, it gives me cards, flashcard-like organization that gives me the ability to go to particular types of things to explain a little bit about minerals and streaks and other things like that. So Socratic has these sections that are organized as well. The Google Assistant is listening to me right now. So if I say, hey, Google, what are some movie times at theaters really, really close to me?
Not cooperative, Bob. It's not.
Not easily. Yeah, yeah.
It's supposed to talk to you and tell you, right?
Well, it can unlock. I can unlock more assistant features here. So let's see if I can connect info for my devices. I can use it to check traffic, do different types of things. But I'd have to turn on some of this information from Google, which I don't have turned on yet.
Okay.
So I can
Unbelievable.
also do this. I can say, hey Siri, what are some movies that are starting nearby me pretty soon?
Here are some movies playing at theaters near you.
So I think Siri gave me a little better answer here.